What's going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Corey. Keisha's not here right now, and I am one half of HisandHerbs, and we're just some small-time, soon-to-be big-time gardeners just trying to grow some food in the high desert of Southern California. So today I want to talk to you guys about something that I think everybody should be doing right now, which is planning for spring. Okay, planning for the spring. We know it's no surprise, and if it is a surprise, I really don't know what to tell you, right? But it's no surprise that spring is going to be rolling around here in the next couple of months. And can you believe it? Like, spring is right around the corner. Winter ain't even fully hit, and I'm already talking about spring. But in terms of prepping for spring, one thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to plan. I want to automate my garden as much as I can. I know it's not a lot that I can do to automate it, but I want to automate it as much as I can. What I mean by that is I want to set up irrigation on timers. That way I don't have to worry about it. And the number one reason why I'm going with irrigation this year instead of hand watering like we did the years prior is because I think watering is not my favorite garden chore to do. It is not. It's not that I hate it. It's just not my favorite thing to do. So I want to automate it and have the system do it for me. I mean, that's what they were designed for in the first place, right? With that being said, I want to talk to you guys about setting up your irrigation right now for the spring. And the reason I'm doing it right now is because, number one, it gets you ahead of schedule because you don't have to wait until you don't have to do like I did last year or this year and be like, oh, I'm gonna do it in the spring when it gets warm, and then you don't have a chance to do it because we had to leave and go out of town for 3 weeks, almost a month, and then don't get a chance to do it, and then the heat wave come through, and now you're like, man, I should have did it when I had a chance. So right now is the perfect time to do it. This is the best time for me to do a lot of the spring garden chores, the setup, because the fall garden is so easy to maintain. There's not a lot of bugs. There's not a lot of watering that needs to be done, not a lot of maintenance that needs to be done to the garden. So that sets us up with less work to have to do in the spring, right? If I can knock out a lot of that stuff right now while we have a lot of downtime in the winter and in the fall. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys what I've done to our garden to set up our irrigation. It doesn't have to be a professional that comes out and does it and charges you hundreds or not thousands of dollars to do it. You could do it yourself for relatively cheap, maybe under $50, $75 maybe, max, depending on how big your garden is, right? All right, y'all, so this design is really simple and it's not gonna require a lot of parts at all. So what you're gonna need some poly tubing, some emitters, some elbows, some couplings, some garden staples, a 1/4-inch hole punch, keys. You're gonna need some adapters to go from your poly tubing to either your timer or to your hose or to your bib. Lastly, you're gonna need a hose-in closure to close off the end of the poly tubing so that the water doesn't run out the opposite end, obviously. So, all right, guys, so the first thing you want to do is make sure you have the right length of poly tubing. So you're gonna want to measure out how long your rows are, or how long your beds are, or however many beds you have, and you want to make sure you have the right amount of tubing to do the job, right? So if you have to buy two rolls of the tubing, then buy 2 rolls of the tubing. If you don't need to use both of them, then you take one back. But at least when you get started, you can keep going because you don't have to worry about running out of tubing. Also consider where you're going to be running your tubing from. So our spigot, our bib, is about 7 feet from our first row. So I had to measure from our bib here in the wall out to the furthest row to make sure I had enough length to cover that distance, as well as measuring the length of the row. For the assembly, what you want to do is you want to take your adapter. You want to take your adapter and connect it to your poly tubing. Then you're going to connect it to either your bib, or you're going to connect it to your Y or your timer, depending on how you got it set up, depending on how you want it set up. You're going to connect it there. We have ours connected to our timer. We good there, straight. From there, we ran our tubing here. Now this is going to be optional for you guys. I didn't like the water pressure we had as we ran all 6 rows at the same time. So what I did was I divided it in half. So these 3 rows are watered at the same time. Then we shut it off, and these 3 rows are watered at the same time. So in order to do that, just like I said, this is completely optional. It's based on your setup and how you got things running and how you want things running. So I had to come here. And I had to split it off. So this is the main line coming out from the wall and the bed. I have this additional line coming out from that main line that waters the last 3 rows. This waters the first 3 rows. These 2 are shut off valves. So I let this run for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then I shut it off, and I open this one, and then this one runs for about 15 to 20 minutes. All right, that way I have both of them are getting adequate water, but the pressure is even on each 3 of the rows. Right, but that's optional, like I said, depending on how you have things set up in your garden. Okay, so now from there, so you're gonna come out from your main line, you're gonna tee it off here, send a line that way, and then you're gonna wash, rinse, and repeat. You're gonna send another line. You're gonna send another line with another tee, and send your hose down. Another line with the tee, send your hose down. Easy. All right, so from here, we put our emitters in. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and work on this line right here because I didn't get to complete it when I first started it. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this row out. I'm glad that you guys are able to tag along. So all you do is put a hole right there with your 1/4-inch barb. Then I'm gonna take my emitter, stick that right in there just like this. This is probably the hardest part. There we go, it's in there, boom, and that's that. And I'm gonna do that down this entire row, and I have to do that for all 4 of these rows. So yeah, y'all, so like I was saying, my favorite part, when you do this, y'all, make sure that all your emitters are lined up properly. When you do this, y'all, this is a side note, learn from my mistakes. Make sure all your emitters are lined up properly. You see, so these 3 are good, they're all facing straight up. But then as you watch, this one is like it's pointed that way a little bit. Then this one is pointed that way a little even more. And this one is definitely facing that way. So what happened was, instead of me coming in and making sure that everything was aligned properly, I just came in and went right down the road without looking down to make sure everything was straight. But you live and you learn. And I'm gonna show you how I fixed that little screw up as well. Wasn't anything hard. It was just, I just had to take the time out to come out and get it done. The cool thing about using these adjustable drippers is that, let's say you have something in these rows that need a little bit more space. You can just shut off the ones you're not using or the ones you don't want to use, and you're good to go. So let me show you how I fixed this little mess up that I did. So this one and this one are clearly facing the wrong direction. They face in opposite directions. I want this one to be pointed straight up. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut here. And this is why it's important to have these couplers, right? And then I'm gonna just put this in there. If this is too hard for you to push in with your hand, you can use like a lighter or something to apply some heat to the end of this, make it a little bit more flexible, and then you can slide your coupling in that way. So I'm gonna do that. Then I'm gonna just take this end that's already been coupled, and I'm gonna just turn it until that emitter is facing up, like that. And that's how I was able to go back and fix the mistakes that I had made previously. So now my emitter is facing the right way. Right there. Right there. I don't want to cut this because if I decide to extend this out just a little bit more, I want to make sure I have as much hose as I need to go another half a foot to a foot. So, and that was the reason why I made this one so long. And that's that, y'all. All I'm gonna do now is go back and lay down these staples just to keep you know what, I'm gonna put this one right here just to keep everything in place. All right, so that's basically the setup for that irrigation. All I'm gonna do now is just do a quick op test just to make sure everything is working right. Open any of the emitters that need to be open. All right, y'all, that's it. That's it. That's what we're doing. That's how we're prepping for spring. That's how we're gonna get through the rest of the season up into spring with watering everything. It's gonna be set. Each row is gonna be set just like this. What I'm not gonna do though in the next couple of rows is I'm not gonna put as many emitters because using that many emitters definitely decrease the amount of water pressure. So what I should have done is, for now, I should have put an emitter by every plant, right? And instead I just went down the row. It's no problem really, because all I did was I shut off the ones that were a little bit further from plants and really wasn't watering anything, and the pressure in the line picked back up. So not losing nothing there. But that's it. That's how we're prepping everything for spring. I'm not gonna be able to get to all these rows tonight, but I do intend to get to them either today or tomorrow. And I'm satisfied, I'm happy. They're gonna run. I'm gonna let this time, it's set on like 15 minutes. I'm gonna let it run and see how it looks, how everything looks. Once everything is, the timer goes off and shuts the water off to see how well everything got watered. And then I'll make any adjustments I have from there. I appreciate you guys rocking with me and watching me do this. Hopefully this helps somebody, give somebody some ideas of what they can do to their garden, because like I said, like watering my garden is not the funnest thing for me, right? I do it because I know it needs to be done, right? I know it needs to be done. However, I feel like my time could be better used somewhere else in the garden. That's it, right? Yeah. So like I said before, appreciate you guys watching. Until next time, see you in the next video. Peace out. Love y'all.